think about it, oh my god, fully was formative. I think this is why I am like so attracted to women who are like really mean to me and really unavailable. Okay, anyway, let's move on. I think I'm figuring out too much about myself. And you don't need to know that. She, I think, just achieves gay icon status for turning every girl who was like slightly questioning the first time that they watched that film. Just so you know, I'm speaking in a slightly lower tone because everybody in the house is asleep and I don't want to wake anybody up. Let's just pretend that we're on a cozy little FaceTime call and, you know, it's midnight and we just really want to talk about how Idina is a queer icon. Let's do it. Now, Idina Menzel, icon, powerhouse, Tony Award-winning superstar behind Elphaba in Wicked, and of course the voice of Elsa in Frozen. Some people argue that she can't really be a queer icon because she's a straight woman. And I want you to just kind of stick around, stick with me, babe, because I am going to uncover how the roles that she has played, her queer allyship, and the interpretations that certain fans, moi, have of her characters really have cemented her as a gay icon. And yeah, I mean, I just think that it's really cool and fun that someone who is like a Disney princess, someone who, you know, some people would look at and be like, family friendly Disney diva, oh my god, is genuinely one of the coolest, sickest, sexiest gay icons of our time. Now, I think that one thing we can all agree on is that Idina Menzel, whether or not she is a queer icon, is an icon, full stop. I mean, she has been some of the voices of some of the most iconic characters just like ever. She is, of course, Elphaba in Wicked. She is Elsa in Frozen. She is, pause for a second just to like let me breathe this in, Maureen in Rent. I love her so much. Whether or not the roles that she plays are like specifically queer or even queer coded, they come with these kind of themes of self-acceptance, found family, and, you know, defiance of societal norms, all of that good stuff. And I think, yeah, we can all agree it's this like lasting legacy with the work that she creates that really resonates with queer audiences. So what makes someone a gay icon? I really thought that I knew what a gay icon was. When I was coming up with this question, I was like, yeah, that's so easy to define. Gay icon, like, of course. And then I was thinking about it a bit more and I was like, it's actually quite hard to define. I mean, it's a label that is often bestowed upon a straight woman. Let's be real, there's a lot of straight women who are gay icons. It's usually performers of some kind, whether singers or actresses. They are usually extremely talented. They usually do have a strong connection to the LGBTQ plus community in some way. They are generally strong allies. You don't often find gay icon status bestowed upon people who are like homophobes. And yeah, I mean, I think that like Menzel pretty clearly falls into a few of these camps. You know, she's like such an amazing singer, she's a huge performer, powerhouse voice, all of that good stuff, and she is a very fierce ally to the queer community. Now, personally for me, I think campiness is like a super important part of being a queer icon, and so obviously musical theatre, you're going to be much more likely to be like already within that camp of camp. You know what I'm saying? But more often than not, I think that gay iconicness, being a gay icon, is like an aura. It's something kind of indefinable. It's not super, super clear. So I just thought I'd like break down some of the most sort of like specific things that we can know about gay icons. Like, what are the themes that come up most often. So obviously we know Judy Garland. She's like one of the gay icons, right? Which also I just think I love that, you know, Idina has the connection, of course, to the Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland. Wizard of Oz itself is like such a queer kind of like iconic thing because of the connection to Judy Garland, friend of Dorothy, all of that. So already you have that little connection, which is like, of course. But, you know, Judy Garland is like seen as such a queer icon, I think specifically because, I mean, obviously she's extremely talented, she's gorgeous, and the tragedy of her life, I think, the way that she dealt with fame, the way that fame dealt with her. Yeah, that I think there's this kind of idea of the tragic female star as a gay icon. So, you know, obviously Judy Garland, you have Marilyn Monroe. Prefer a man who lives and gives expensive jewels. Joan Crawford, Lana Del Rey now. That summertime sadness. Summertime. And I think that, yeah, comes together in this sort of glamorization, romanticization of a Hollywood sort of pain that, yeah, felt similar to the queer communities who resonated with it. I think some people might argue, I've definitely seen some people argue that they don't like that gay men kind of take on this idea of like women's pain as like this kind of iconic, like romanticized, glamorized thing, and then they're like, oh my god, gay icon because she like suffered so much. But I think that like when we really dig into it, the reason that that has such a connection is that it's about a feeling of like similarity. It's a feeling of like, oh, I understand who you are, and yes, there's a kind of beauty in that pain that is being used to make it feel a little better, I guess. I don't exactly know what I'm saying, but I suppose it's the Lana Del Reyification of it all, you know? Then, of course, as I say, there is the camp queer icon, which Judy Garland was not at all camp. So I think that's really interesting that you immediately have this like separation of someone who's like the queer icon to one of the things that we then think of as like being hugely queer icon behavior, which is to be camp, which she was not. So, you know, you have Mae West.
I'm sorry you think more of your diamonds than you do of your soul.
I'm sorry you think more of my soul than you do of my diamonds.
You have, kind of ironically enough, Liza Minnelli, who is Judy Garland's daughter, of course.
You know what? It's his loss. It's his loss. It's his loss!
Elton John. And then you have the, like, divas. So you have Cher, Madonna, Beyonce. There's this kind of thing maybe about, like, the huge self-confidence that they have, that the diva has. So again, very different kind of vibe, although like I guess, you know, you could say Mae West, huge amount of self-confidence, diva as well as camp. So there's kind of crossover sometimes, but there's also times where it's like the opposite almost. And then you have the kind of like gender play type of gay icon with the androgynous character. You have Twiggy, you have Bowie, you have Grace Jones icon in so many ways. But this almost makes it more confusing. So then you go, okay, so then what is a gay icon? Someone who has some of these traits? All of them? None? Something else altogether? I think one thing that we can all agree on is that you cannot claim yourself as a gay icon. Some are born to be gay icons, some achieve gay icon status, and some have it thrust upon them. Wink. But obviously we can see that straight women and sometimes straight men are pretty often seen as gay icons, so Idina certainly isn't on her own here. So I think the argument that like just because she's straight, she cannot be a gay icon because she like doesn't understand the queer experience just doesn't hold any water whatsoever. I think that we can definitely make an argument about like whether it's right that so many straight women are seen as gay icons when they don't actually connect to the queer experience. but I think that that is another video for another day. And I think there's also something to be said for the queer icon for gay men in particular being like a straight woman who is singing songs about fighting against oppression. Like, of course that resonates. And also it's a celebration of embracing femininity when gay men who do so are seen as an issue. And then you also have the lesbian gay icon, which is a whole other thing. Janelle Monáe, my love, Hayley Kiyoko, Lesbian Jesus, Florence from Florence and the Machine, Angel of My Heart. I mean, it's a whole thing. I think maybe I should do a separate video on the concept of what a gay icon is, because this is like a super complicated topic. But suffice it to say, this is complex. But the concept of a gay icon is super interesting. And let's just go into why I think Idina fully resonates with all of this, and why it kind of doesn't really matter, because generally what we're really looking for is aura. And there's a particular aura that a gay icon puts off, and it's not something that you can like really specifically put into words. You can't just be like, oh, what, she's camp and therefore she is a gay icon, because there are people who are camp and they're not gay icons. There are people who are tragic as fuck, not gay icons. There are people who are divas but they're not gay icons. And you know, so what is it specifically about Idina? It's the aura. It is the aura. She is the icon. That is all it is. So let's talk a bit about Idina's most iconic queer roles. Now, Idina rose to prominence, of course, for anybody who knows anything about her, in the little-known Broadway show Rent. So she was in the original Broadway cast of Rent in, I think it was 96, and then she reprised her role in the 2005 film, where I lost my teenage mind the first time that I saw her in those leather pants. My lord. Yeah, she, I think, just achieves gay icon status for turning every girl who was like slightly questioning whether or not they might be like a little bit gay the first time that they watched that film. I didn't even care that she was like kind of an asshole. I just was like, Maureen, sing Take Me or Leave Me to me one more time, my girl, and I will take you every single time. 15-year-old me was not the best at seeing the red flags, but very good at seeing leather pants. So for those who don't know, Rent is like very loosely based on the Puccini opera La Bohème, and it tells the story of a group of young artists who are kind of struggling to make their way in the world, in living in the East Village in New York, and kind of creating their art and figuring things out under the shadow of HIV/AIDS. And Maureen is this like just iconic bisexual character. Oh Lord, I just can't even think about her without being like, oh, those leather pants, Maureen. She makes me feel like almost the same way that Natalie Dormer makes me feel in Game of Thrones, except that Idina came into my life at a much more formative period, let's just say. And I think, actually, now that I think about it, oh my god, fully was formative. I think this is why I am like so attracted to women who are like really mean to me and really unavailable. Okay, anyway, let's move on, because I think I'm figuring out too much about myself. And you don't need to know that. The way that she like climbs onto the pool table during Take Me or Leave Me and like scatters the billiard balls everywhere. Take me, don't leave me. But also, like, let's just take a second to think about Joanne singing This Girl Satisfies while she like pushes Idina up against the balustrade.
So be wise, cause this girl satisfies. You're one lucky baby.
I think I get 5% gayer every single time I watch that, which I do think that I watch Take Me or Leave Me like at least twice a week from grades 9 to 11. So, you know, as I say, formative. I don't really remember the rest of the movie. Obviously, the Tango Maureen, because I just watched all the scenes with Idina in it and all the scenes with Joanne in it. Because I was a little baby gay and I wanted to be one of them or be between them. And yes, they were too old for me. And yes, once again, that maybe had some impact on certain decisions that I made in my later teenage years. Again, we don't need to get into it. So obviously Rent as a musical itself is like extremely iconically queer and just like gay, and Maureen is out and bisexual and like very, very bisexual. And so, you know, I think this is like a pretty obvious queer role. Like, we're not arguing on any of this, right? Maureen is gay, Idina is gay, and she's a gay icon. And yeah, I think, you know, her Menzel's performance in Rent is just like so iconic. And yeah, like Maureen might not be someone that you want to hang out with in person, or not for long anyway. I personally would just like to hang around her and watch her like cause shit. But my god, is she electric. If you've been enjoying this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. If you would also like to just give me a like or a little comment down below, I would love that. But even the fact that you are just viewing the video means the world, so thank you so much. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, let's talk about the wild party. I kind of had forgotten about this for a bit, and then I was like looking back through her roles again, and I was like, oh my god, like That's So Raven moment where I was just like, that's right, that was also formative. I think Idina just herself was just like so formative to baby gay me. And yeah, once again, we don't need to go into it, and clearly she was just my type. Okay, like, sue me. Now, so the wild party, I've never seen the rest of the play, but I have read the synopsis, and really I just want to focus on Idina's performance as Kate, where she sings the life of the party. And now her role is like very much not queer. She's like, I think kind of the whole point is that she is like this very like sexually charged, straight kind of troublemaker character. And yeah, it's this sort of like 20s jazz age vaudevillian, like just things go real wrong. But yeah, basically I don't really care what the plot of that play was. What I care about is the feelings that I felt when I was 15 and I watched the very shaky cam video performance, which I like, oh god, I don't even remember what year it would have been, but I reckon I would have been about 15, of Idina in that little dinky chair singing the life of the party. And it's so weird and sad and sexy somehow, even though you're like, this, I know this isn't meant to be sexy. I mean, it is kind of, I don't know, but it's like, oh, there's just something really gay and iconic about this song and Idina performing it, and like being in this kind of like black space where there's just like nothing around her except for her and her little chair and her and like, is she wearing leather pants again? Maybe she is, I can't remember, I'm gonna have to find that. Yeah, I just remember watching it when I was younger and just feeling some very strange feelings. But yeah, they're like, I think there's something about the sadness and the weirdness about it that makes it feel gay. Like, yeah, it's so good. So good. Also, just a note that when I was looking up information about this, I noticed that Kristen Chenoweth was May, who was another character in the Wild Party in the like 97 workshop of the Wild Party. And I know that doesn't really say anything, but I think that somehow that says Gelfie to me, you know? Now, we had to talk about it. My one true love, Wicked. Of course, Idina was the first Elphaba on Broadway, along with Kristen Chenoweth, also a gay icon. I mean, maybe I need to do another video about her. I feel like I could do a whole video just about Glitter and Be Gay, which, again, I swear I don't think that I was watching these like as a specific like Wicked thing, but I do remember watching Glitter and Be Gay around the same time that I was watching all the Idina performances. But maybe it was just my thing about like femmes and being like, do I want a goth femme or do I want a hyper femme? Either way, I want them. Once again, House has come back to me. Sorry. So for a full breakdown of why I think Wicked is gay and why I think Elphaba is such a queer-coded character, please go and watch my full breakdown in the Wicked is gay video if you haven't seen it already. But basically, very like top notes, Elphaba is deeply queer-coded. She is misunderstood. She is ostracized, and her whole arc is about like embracing her true self. And of course, Defying Gravity is an absolute queer anthem. Sorry about it. It is about self-empowerment and liberation. And I will not be taking notes. No, thank you. It's a gay bop, and I love it.
I said, I want to start a new genre of music. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's called gay pop.
And obviously, just signing out on this little section, Gelfie is real, we can move on. Now, in 2013, Idina was, of course, the voice of Elsa in Frozen. And for anybody who doesn't know, this a very iconic Disney film. I mean, if you have children anywhere near you in your life, I don't know how you've managed to get away with not seeing this film. It is great, but my god, I've seen it way too many times. So of course Elsa is the newly crowned Queen of Arendelle. She's trying to like hide her ice powers, and she accidentally unleashes them and is ostracized for that. It is once again very deeply queer-coded. She has to hide her true self. She wants to go away. She wants to let it all go. And then this sparks a journey of reconciliation and self-discovery with her sister Anna, and then ultimately leads to Elsa embracing her gifts instead of fearing them. But despite the lack of like explicit representation, Elsa is like deeply queer-coded, and whether or not Disney did it on purpose, I don't care, because she is, girl, she is. And I mean, Let It Go, like cultural phenomenon of a queer coming out anthem, like hello. I mean, yeah, the conversation around Elsa being queer was just like so huge that the cast was just like constantly being asked questions about it, especially when the second film was about to come out. And yes, all of their answers were like deeply media trained, and they like very much skirted around ever answering that because I'm sure that Disney had them under tight wraps. But I just think the fact that they were being asked this question all the time is like so indicative of the fact that this was like not just a niche, you know, like headcanon from a few people who were like, oh my god, like she's so totally queer-coded. This was like, this was huge. Like everybody was like, yeah, Elsa's gay, right? So of course, yeah, all of their answers deeply media trained, and they skirted around the issue and they never wanted to say anything. But we all know the truth. Elsa is a lesbian, and Honey Marin would have been her girlfriend if Disney weren't such wimps. I rest my case. And Idina has spoken like a number of times about specifically Elphaba and Elsa, but I think that she's also spoken about kind of Maureen as well, and how those three characters are like have pulled the queer community towards them. So she's said that they're all linked in some way by this incredible force and power that they have, but they perhaps are tentative about sharing that for fear it will alienate or hurt people. And like queer people, she suggests that once they accept their beautiful individuality and uniqueness, then they become sorceresses, which I just think is really cute. So thematically, I think that like a lot of the roles that she has chosen obviously have these connections to queerness, and I think that is like quite important to her role as a gay icon. She consistently portrays characters who challenge societal norms and struggle with rejection. And yeah, I just think that that's like such an echo of queer experiences. And I feel like, and I think that there's like a reason that she has always taken on those types of roles. And I'm not saying that that's for any specifically queer reasons, but I do think that the reasons that she probably does have around like why she resonates with these kinds of characters, why we as the queer community resonate with her, because they're similar kind of like experiences, they're similar kind of issues that we might be all dealing with. So, I just think that that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, Defying Gravity and Let It Go are both like huge queer anthems, which I just think is like very clearly like that's going to make you iconic, right? Even like a little bit, to be like part of two such huge queer anthems. These, I mean, Defying Gravity and Let It Go are like world renowned. This is not just some like niche little thing where it's like, oh yeah, well, I've heard of them because I'm also gay. Like, this is, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Not me doing Girl Interrupted and then not realizing what I was quoting. And then yeah, I think her exploration of kind of the queer found family dynamics in Wicked and Rent, and her connection to her fans as this kind of like extended queer family. It's all like this sort of, yeah, it's the same kind of themes that come up again and again that I just think are like, yeah, of course she's resonating with queer audiences, because she's hitting all of the kinds of stuff that we're like, yes. And now beyond her roles, I think that her just authenticity, her approach to fame, her openness about her own struggles, her resonance with marginalized audiences, just how her like offstage persona and values align with the queer community. And so, like we've already discussed, the fact that Idina is a straight woman means that some people might find the fact of her being a gay icon a bit of a stretch. Again, despite the fact that most gay icons are straight women. But I think, again, despite all of that, true fans know that Idina is like a huge ally who has shown up for the community again and again and again. There's this like really nice moment where she was at St. Pete Pride, and there was a bunch of these like anti-LGBTQ bills going through at the time, and so she specifically told the crowd at this specific St. Pete Pride, there's so much adversity and there's so much hatred, cruelty, and you meet that cruelty with love. If you're feeling alone and like nobody sees you, we see you, we are here for you. And then she belted out Defying Gravity, which she dedicated to trans and queer youth. So I just think like, and this is not the first time that she's gone to Pride. She's gone to Pride like a bajillion times. She goes around the world to go to all the different Prides. She's like, she's there. She's not there for like the pink dollar. She is a legit ally. She has been doing this for like her entire career beforehand. She's like, yeah, this is not some kind of like marketing campaign. She's a genuine ally. And I mean, yeah, crazy. It's been like almost 30 years since Rent. Wait, 96. Yeah, no. nearly 30 years. Oh my god, I was just like doing the maths in my own head about my own birthday, and I'm like, but no. I think specifically, obviously, we know that Rent, like, that's probably where she first started to get her specifically queer kind of group of fans. And I just think it's really important to note that she's like really retained that like love for them, and that she's never felt like, I know that there are some kind of there are some actors, some performers who they kind of get their start with a queer audience and then they're like, bye, like I've gotten big and I don't need you anymore. And Idina's never been like that. So she's always been very like grateful for her queer audience and her queer fans. And, you know, she says stuff like, they've supported me since the beginning of my career and shared so much of their lives or stories with me. I feel very honored that they would allow me to be an ally. And I just think, oh my god, like that's so nice. Like, I know it's bare minimum in some ways, but like to have someone who is like feels honored to be like allowed to be an ally. I just think that that's like so indicative of the kind of person that she is, that she's like so thoughtful about that it's not just like, yeah, I'm an ally and therefore I'm a good person. It's like, no, you're allowing me to be a part of this community, you're allowing me to be like here and to kind of lend my voice to that, and you trust me with that. And I think that's the reason why we do trust her. And I'm not even like, you know, I'm not across all of like the Idina lore or anything, and I'm not like I'm a huge fan, but I'm not like a huge fan. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, but like, I don't know, I just think that that is like so indicative and so sweet. Sorry, I feel like it's really clear that I just like, it's getting really late, it's like past midnight, so I'm just being like slowly melting back into the couch, try and sit upright for like my last little bit. So I don't really know a huge amount about Idina's solo career. I've listened to like a few of her songs, but I haven't listened to all of her albums or anything. But I think that what you can pretty clearly see is that the themes that run across them of like heartbreak, resilience, self-expression, it all once again really connects with queer listeners. I mean, yeah, like, so the music video for her song Move, it's just really clear. You can see that she has spent time in London's gay clubs, and like she feels kind of comfortable there. She's wearing this like cute little rainbow sparkly mini dress, and she's like wandering through the crowds, and there's like one of the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race is with her. Yeah, and I just think the fact that she's really embraced her status as a queer icon in her interviews, her performances and public appearances, she's never shied away from that. She's never been like, ooh, does this put me in a bit of a box? Like, could this, you know, take away from like the reach that I might have, because there might be some people who are like not a fan of that. And instead she's just like, no, fully embrace it 100%. And that is why she's such a gay icon, of course. And yeah, I mean, someone else pointed out that I should talk about I Stand, which is the title track of her 2008 album. This is just like this very unapologetic declaration of individuality, authenticity, you know, all very classic queer themes, kind of queer empowerment narratives. Now, as I say, she has like been a very outspoken supporter of LGBTQ plus rights. She frequently performs at Pride events for organizations like the Trevor Project. She went on like an unofficial Pride tour of the world in 2023, which she went to Florida, DC, WeHo, California, Missouri, London, a whole bunch of other places. She has done collaborations with other queer icons and allies like Kristen Chenoweth. She's like, yeah, she's just part of this kind of queer cultural lexicon. So as this kind of like idea of her as a cultural icon, I just think the fact that she always embodies these like powerful independent women. She's never playing just the kind of like boss ass babe who is basically just a man with boobs, which is kind of often one of the issues that I have with the kind of strong independent woman trope. She's always like, she plays these characters that are vulnerable, that are like, you know, difficult, are dealing with shit, but then also have this like deep well of strength within them. Her performances pretty consistently center around narratives of like pushing back against societal norms, whether that's Elphaba's defiance of authority in Wicked, or Elsa's rejection of the kind of traditional princess tropes in Frozen, or Maureen's pushback against kind of being put in a box by her partners, whether you agree with that or not, in Rent. I think, yeah, the fact is that all of her roles are around this idea of being like, I'm not going to be what society deems necessary. I'm not going to be the thing that I'm told that I have to be. I think even despite the thematic stuff that is going on, I think that just fundamentally the performances that Idina does of her characters, like Elphaba is just, you know, taking away everything else. The way that Idina portrays her is just like deeply gay to me. And the way that Elsa is portrayed is just like so gay. I like, it's an aura thing that is being portrayed there. Like, it's not something that can be like really pinned down, because again, this is the issue with like, what is a gay icon, what is like a queer reading of something, but sometimes it is just a gay aura. And my god, Idina, like, gay aura points. Did she lose any? No, she did not. She gained them. She gave me gay aura points. I mean, I watched her videos. I wasn't even in front of her as a person. I just through a screen watched Idina when I was in my early teens, mid-teens, late teens, early 20s, now. And my aura turned pink and white and orange. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, I think you do. I think that was clear. The fandom surrounding her, I think, particularly within the queer community, obviously has evolved into this kind of chosen family. I think that she's made space for people to like find really deep personal connections with one another through her work and through her, through their like shared love of her characters and her music. And I think that doesn't happen unless you are like allowing space for your fans to do that. And yeah, I think that fans often kind of are coming together and finding solidarity in the fact that they do relate to her work and that they find like a sense of belonging in her work. Yeah, I think that is a really important point to note within her kind of cultural legacy. And of course, I can't mention fans without mentioning the fan art and the fan fiction. And I kind of wanted to like go and find some stuff, but I didn't want to like, yeah, I love fan art and I love fan fiction. I didn't want to like make fun of anything that anybody was making, and I didn't want like, just in case this goes into like a different sort of audience, I just don't want to expose anyone to that, especially if I haven't like asked permission. That just feels like really wrong. So I think if I ever was going to do any sort of deep dive on like fandom stuff, then I'll talk to people to see if that they're like cool with it, of course, with having any of their stuff used. But also like, yeah, I just maybe want to do a little bit more research on how to do that in like an ethical way so that nobody is like put on blast, because I just think that that's kind of uncool when people do that. But I do think that like, yeah, we have seen, you know, fans, queer fans specifically, have created like a huge amount of fan art, fan fiction centered around the roles that she's played, like most particularly Elphaba and Glinda in Wicked, obviously, and Elsa in Frozen. And that often explores, you know, the girlfy stuff. And now I haven't really looked into any of the Frozen stuff. I don't really know what goes on over there in the like lesbian Elsa sphere, but I can imagine. And I salute those brave souls for all the work they do, and good on you, soldiers. You're doing good work. And I just thought this was really nice. So when Idina performs like at concerts, that kind of thing, they often become spaces for queer fans to celebrate their identities, connect with one another, all of that kind of stuff like I talked about. And, you know, they'll often dress up as characters from Wicked and Rent and Frozen. And she has been known to kind of engage directly with her fans, to ask them questions, find out about their stories, and like express her appreciation for their support, particularly when they are queer fans, which I feel like creates this like really lovely reciprocal relationship where she is showing kind of her gratitude to the queer community once again, but even on this like really individual basis, which I just think is like really lovely and meaningful. And yeah, I think that really strengthens her legacy as a queer icon. So yeah, I think as we can see, her career, the roles that she has played, the allyship that she provides, the kind of like just openness to being called part of the queer sort of like community as an ally, and her like gratitude towards the queer community for their support, I think all of that shapes her as this like her queer kind of cultural legacy. And I think it's really important, once again, you know, I think that there could be a whole video on like straight women as queer icons, but I think that it is really like important to note how like significant it is for a huge star like Idina Menzel to kind of take the chances that she has, and to take the roles that she has, and to be so open to these queer interpretations and to the queer audience that she has in sort of shaping queer cultural identity. It's a really big part of how we are kind of perceived within media and culture, and to have someone who is like that sort of culturally powerful, I guess, behind us, I think is really significant. So look, I don't really know what this video was. It was a little bit of an experiment, and I hope that it was interesting for you guys. I wanted to do something that was still kind of Wicked related. When I put up that poll, like, thank you guys so much for those who interacted with it. It was really nice to feel like I had a kind of insight into what this little community wants, which is so cool. And I am like so keen to hear what you guys would like. So please comment down below if you have any ideas for future videos that you'd like to see. But yeah, I think that this was just like a fun little thing. I'm trying to kind of just approach this channel with a bit of a like bit of flexibility and a bit of like excitement to what could be. And yeah, thank you so much for kind of coming along on this journey with me. I hope that it's fun. I might come back to more kind of like straightforward movie review kind of stuff for my next video, but I'm not 100% sure which one I'll be working on because there is so many ideas out there that I would like to do. Chuck a comment down below if you have any like particular thoughts about something that you'd like to see next up, and at the very least I'll put it on my list to do because loving all your ideas so far, so great. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I can maybe like reach monetization on this channel soon. My watch hours are like really good at the moment, which is awesome. I do need to hit like 1,000 subscribers, so I'm a little bit off that, of course. But yeah, I would really appreciate a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and I would love a like and a comment if you have the time. But I just really appreciate the fact that you have been viewing it so far, and I just hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, just so excited to be on this journey with you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.